Hi, good afternoon. So today's illustration and demonstration. Illustration is mostly by cartoons, and demonstration is mostly by a human being. It's number one, tying a tie. So it's always like this, one after another, and most ties are approximately a few fingers. The first time I tied a tie was in 8th grade. After graduation, there was a see, is that fast? And then afterwards, in Hong Kong, it's usually high school level 1st grade, so that's 7th grade, and that is secondary first. And usually, sometimes people make patterns over here. This one is by Gucci, and I usually put my name here. I put my name here sometimes too. This is called the monogram, and it was one of my most well-liked pattern at the Rodeo Drive location. I went to Versace first, and the Versace store, I bought another accessory rather than the ties. So that was good. In Hong Kong, I haven't seen this same tie, but I've seen a navy red or a burgundy. It's burgundy, yeah. So, and then the suits for executive, instant executive, is usually a line suit. And the funny thing was that when I came back and listening to the Chinese anthem, it says at the end, refuse to be the slavery kind of the slaves, right? And then I was just kind of slave, you know, the joke is corporate slave, and people always have a kind of a standoff sometimes with the executives, and for more bonuses, right? So I comforted some of the executives. I said, don't worry, you know what these lines means? That they understand Chinese or know the Chinese culture, because Chinese are written downwards. And I think and it doesn't mean that it is a have you seen McDonald's? Back then the characters, McDonald's with the red head, and then the burger the burger thieves with the pinstripes. Yeah, and then with the pinstripes, 用中文講一次啊 Cantonese, right? So 有陣時首先打呔係好快嘅事啦，然後呢個 pattern 咧係 monogram 喺 Beverly Hills 買啦，咁然後咧嗰條衣服咧一間間咧好似漢堡神偷喺即係喺麥當勞麥記啊，即係麥當勞冇話麥記，但係麥當勞。And then so I in 2007 I had mentioned that the lines, it doesn't mean that the executives are prisoners, you know. It only means that they might know Chinese going downwards, because Chinese reads downwards, and the thicker the lines, the more they might, you know, like to hear things, or the thinner the lines, they like instruction booklets. So that's the joke, right? And let me demonstrate one more thing, right? Other than the lines, and I try not to laugh too much anymore. I can laugh for so long, right? And then nowadays, the spectrum of leaders I have to deal with, I can't laugh too hard. It's getting to the edgy part where you might think that it is, you know, kind of next topic. Yeah. So, and this one demonstrating black suits. So the effect is that the monogram with black suit is still a kind of an outgoing meeting, possibly the vibe saying that I can't tell you everything right now because of the profit margins, but I am one of the inner circle of the executives. So that might be what it interprets. Honestly, with me, sometimes I just want to show my fashion, you know, because I'm in the fashion shopping district, to kind of uplift and upkeep, to maintain the fashion district over here that I live, that I got accustomed to and I knew about. I mean, I knew. And let me show you the other suits, right? The suit jackets. So the effect is that, why am I showing this? It's because I understand that many of the viewers have limited budget and they want to spend the budget as precise onto some of the better profitabilities. Alright, and then that's always one of my emphasis as any companies that I start. And whatever you save, you're not objected to give me a percentage. And then with the gray, yeah, it might be good for interviews. So I had shared this with some of the neighboring designers alliances or the companies. Yeah, and I didn't know who to actually write and give the report to. There's no fashion department in the government system. Yeah. So don't look at my face. Look at the suits. Right. Yeah. Alright, so next there is the weekend coat, say for the Kentucky Derby or for the racetrack. And this one you might wear jeans. So, and not necessarily the monogram that day. So that's the way. And then shirts. The shirts differences is regular stitch, and then they have the very tight and outer focus seams. Yeah, so that's two kinds. And then they have the round edges, the round edge. I forgot the very, you know, kind of a Victorian or the Renaissance, or no, the Renaissance had the very flabby ones. So it's interesting. They call this the dimple, but not necessary. And then the knots, they have Windsor knots and other knots. So this is more for the pleats, or more for weekends, I think. So that's good. And then I just want to show the gray, how the gray might compare to the gray pleats. So something like this. And for Hong Kong, I want to say thanks to Crocodile fashion, and Crocodile had a lawsuit with Lacrosse because they both use the alligator or the, you know, the alligator, the gators, as a logo. And then thank the G2000 that I was able to get the first suit, and I didn't really have to tailor the underarm area. Yeah. Banano had a whale back in the days as a logo, not anymore. Bossini, people always think about these very how do you say it, very, you know, the slang word. I mean, there are many catchy way of saying a branding, and then they might say that it is you know, Bossini, and then it's not true. It's just Bossini. You know, Bossini is maybe boss Cinti, or boss Sin Lei. Yeah. So boss Sin Lei might means that you be the boss first, because nobody wants you to be the boss man, you know. And then it might mean boss Cinti, you know, kind of, right? And then there is the Giordano, right? And I find them to be very affordable. And one of the t-shirts I bought was a 5-star logo New Yorker t-shirt with the lion. I've seen the similar pattern. I was like, oh, so my clothing might be well studied. So that's good. In the pictures of some events I had sponsored named Shine, it was every weekend kind of a operation, and I had to be accustomed to getting helping hand more and more to them. And then there was the other branding named Gun-Kei. Gun-Kei is more a you choose the pattern and then the fabric, and then they tailor your entire measurement, shoulder, neck, the collar, how big you want the collar, and the sleeve to here, the sleeve to here. And it's always, you fold your business suits when you shake hands, and then you can see the undershirts and things. That is important. And then the bottom, do you want it to cover your buttock, or do you want it to be halfway, things like that. And then so I always wanted the Gun-Kei tailor. And then there, for Western branding in Hong Kong, there were the Brooks Brothers from the US. And then I bought one of the Brooks Brothers cufflinks. Yeah. And then there was the luxury branding for ties. If you kind of avoiding the tabloids. And then the paparazzis. They don't really have paparazzis there, it's just tabloids. And then they have there is the other British branding, the more customer oriented, or having your resume or CV kind of copies, kind of, because they have to get ready for the IELTS test, right? Each customer. And so there is the Currin and Keiths, I think. Excuse me if I didn't say the second word. and I finally was able to get one of the ties when I had time. And I usually get it all at once, hopefully, so that nobody feels you know, focused or feel that it is a you know. So that's for me as a shopper, kind of. What else? Shoes. So there is the Ferragamo, and then the Ferragamo looks like a handcuff. So it looks kind of like the, you know, commissioning kind of enforcement kind of. So the belt, I was able to let me show you. The very elegant, and then the rugged, and then there is the mellow. So this one is a very refined kind of serenity kind of, I guess. And then this one is by Italian designer Canelli in Hong Kong. And let me show you the differences, right? It's not bragging, but it's just after years and years of hard work, and you reward yourself, and you want to show your newer executives or newer middle managers or managers, personnel managers. So imagine this one and then change to this one. It is somewhat a subtle expectation for executives to be more addressed properly. Without this kind of ties, let me show you more of the other ties that might instantaneously swift the stylish or the meeting tone. And the reason why I have these is because there is a presidential campaign coming up, and with these speeches. Okay, so another thing with the tie, if you had, how do you know you had tied a tie according to the internet instructions? Is that if you pull this part, you untie this part, you pull, and then everything comes out from the knot, and you're ready to roll this up. And then you can put it back in your drawers. And it's like that. And then let me show you a contrary, right? If it is a more studious type, okay, so this one is a university style tie, and this reminds me of my prep school tie. Prep, I think it is prepare for challenges, prepare for the workforces kind of school. Yeah, and people, I had talked about this. People always joke that said people that goes to private schools are kind of the rejects of public schools. Yeah. So with this tie, you can still match and mix and match. You know, the weekend jacket. You know, the weekend jacket. And gray pleats. And then what might be my line? So everyone expect it, right? Walk by and say, "Nice crowd. What schools?" You know. Have you seen bad crowds? Well, rowdy, yeah, maybe. Did you know that Mr. Alan Greenspan, the treasurer, U.S. treasurer, came to Hong Kong and throughout his whole speech, I can't believe this, they kept on looking at their cell phone and pagers, so it was going off the hook when he was giving a speech. So that was 1990s and year 2000s. So with this, I don't think you look like a restaurant worker, and it is simply a pattern. I think black suits are good for the field work, for assessing a job site or work site. I think that it is good for backpack, because sometimes you have to carry your notebook computers. So this is nice, I think. One more. So always having the lined suits. And you remain to be able to feel that you are one of the decision makers. And then you reference to all your books. I cannot figure this out. Why is the new trend or new exercising trend this way? And then you pride yourself that you have maybe a few days to understand the focus channels, and then you decide what to present. So my newer challenge was giving instructions to Inner China, and then one of the Inner China issues was that of course, always keeping the community vibe and the work schedule. So yeah, I nailed it. Yeah, that's good. And then one more tie is that my necktie that might set another tone. Remember the knot? Yeah. It's a more Christmassy color. Well, this is more of a golden color, so it's more busy. People might feel tired from this. Or the red tie is kind of the here, let me sacrifice my time. Yeah, kind of, maybe. Or just a bright items. And then this one is another Gucci pattern tie. So this one, or is if it doesn't have the dimple, dimple, just looks like this, simple. And then there's a three pleat or three folds. Yeah. And it might be just for pictures. So that's some kind of fashionables and suits, tailoring and ordering that you might have to experience. And excuse my bookshelves, it looks slanted because of the wheels underneath. I just clipped the metal, so it's tilted another way. So having the ties on you, it doesn't mean that you might be tested for it, right? What other ties can I show you? This one. It is my Burberry icon shirt, necktie, but it is rather thin. It is a reminder for me that when I get to a corporate position, I can go on a bigger diet. And I don't like eating too much. I like to let the guys eat more. how you fix your pants. And this one, it's more what do you do when you feel that the necktie is not complementing your head size and you want to take a picture? I think it's more leaning back, widen this, kind of, yeah. So you can decide on that. If your bun here is too tight when you're giving a speech, I guess I think, yeah, you're excused to unbutton it and then you can fix it. And for the season, of course, you can have a string to tie this part. And sometimes people have the rubber band kind. If you're very, if your hands are not very craftsman capability, yeah, it's okay. So these are all good ties. What is the typical tailor visit? 1 hour. First one, yeah. But they can come to your office. Yeah. And finding these ties are not easy. For example, this one, I looked through this store, store B, store C, store D, and store E. And when you excuse yourself, you say, "May I have a business card? I have to consider my choices." Yeah. And then you say, "Thank you very much. And I look forward to your next season's collections." And I usually don't touch the ties because people are very sensitive, and it's like I don't want people to buy ties and things. So it's really, "Can I see?" Or put your hands behind your back, or just put your hands one on top of the other. May I see the ties? Collections. Interesting. What do you think the pattern means? Yeah. Or what does it channel out? Or what kind of indication or psychological state that you might the model or the owner or the presenter might feel at the moment? Interesting. Yeah. So it's always the politicians that one might find that it is important for speech. Imagine, so for example, some of the greatest debaters, on the day of their debates, their ties are very strategic because of, I think it's ever since baseball. Have you guys heard of, had everyone heard of the New York Yankees? So New York Yankees were the World Series champion back in 1920s and 1930s, right? And of course thereafter. And one of the greatest analytical shows had informed that their stripe pattern, black and white, was the winning factor for one of their World Series, because when the pitcher pitched the balls, the one with the bat, they get dizzy from the Yankees uniform, black and white. So let me show you. Yankees uniform. And it was one of the biggest intimidating factor of the Yankees. And then what other colors might be interesting, right? Bright red uniforms. Say the okay, so imagine you're on bet, the whole stadium looking at you, and then you have to face this kind of uniform. Yeah, that's good. So how do you relate to that? Might be, hey, come on, we all went to the same schooling system. What? I've seen your videos. Yeah. That's good. And then other than the Mickey Mantle and the New Yorkers uniform, so I hope everybody knows that how to pick a suit. And I'll talk. I can give one more topic. All right.